Humans are obsessed with speed, really, and I think what's interesting is that the land speed record and speed records in general, I think, mirror our evolution in human development. So if you look back at all the developments we've made, a lot of it's been about speed, the technology. So fastest trains, fastest cars, fastest planes, even fastest spaceships. This is all mirror the fact that we are evolving all the time and technologically becoming more and more advanced. And that story is the story of speed.
This is Steve, ready to roll.
The outright world land speed record is so iconic because it's the simplest, purest, oldest form of motorsport. The easiest thing to understand, it is simply driving a car faster than anyone else in history. When I was at university studying mathematics and learning to fly aeroplanes, I was watching Richard Noble attempting and then breaking the world land speed record in thrust 2.
The wonderful thing about that car was we achieved its design speed, which was 650 miles an hour. We peaked out at 650.88, so it was very satisfactory. And suddenly the data arrives and we discover I was within 7 miles an hour of takeoff. So it was a lucky escape, but a new world record. As a result of the skills that we'd all acquired one way or another from the Thrust 2 project, we now realise that these skills could be applied to other projects.
In 1994, I was a serving Royal Air Force pilot, sitting at a main base in the UK, reading the newspapers one Sunday, and I saw the public launch of a new world land speed record project, the Thrust supersonic car. One of several teams that was attempting the record during that period in the 1990s. This one was different. This one was twin engine. This one was going to be supersonic. And one line in that article said, Richard Noble, the project director, is looking for a driver. That became me.
Andy is an incredible character. He's got 3,000 hours of fast jet time. He's got first class honours in mathematics. And we're very, very fortunate, and he decided that he wanted to join us. And I think the great moment for all of us was the first time we broke the sound barrier. That was a fantastic thing. And you see this car coming up faster than any jet fighter you've ever seen, like a huge black locomotive herring down the desert. And I would be standing in the midpoint of the desert with all the media and everybody else and watching all this. And it just reduced everybody down to prayer.
The thrust cockpit was between the two huge Spey engines, so I was very much sitting down in the valley with only a narrow tunnel to look forward between the engines and down the 13-mile track that we were driving on. Conventional steering wheel, but model on an aircraft steering wheel with buttons on it for parachute, radio, etc. Right foot controlled the throttle pedals with a total of 100,000 horsepower from the two Spey engines.
And this car comes up faster than any airplane you've ever seen in complete silence. And then suddenly it's alongside you and a huge double bang, ba-boom, like that. And a wall of noise, and it just disappeared.
It's because it was so powerful that 10 miles off the end of the track, the local town of Gerlach was experiencing what they thought was earthquakes. You can't hear your own shockwave, you can't hear your own sonic boom. That's what it's like in a jet fighter. That's also what it's like in a supersonic car, which unfortunately means that I'm the only person in history that has never had the opportunity to hear a car make a sonic boom.
Turn run 1.020.
We finished with Thrust SSC, so there we are in the pub, having broken the sound barrier, and we all look at each other and say, we're never ever going to do this again.
I joined Bloodhound initially as a consultant, talking about the option for how we would build a faster car, possibly. We'd heard there was competition, the Australians, the Americans were both planning records, and it was very much still an informal conversation. It didn't become a serious conversation until we spoke to the British government and discovered a crying need for scientists and engineers. The biggest problem we've got is bringing science and technology to life for kids at school. Here was something the land speed record could do, and do brilliantly. All of a sudden, Bloodhound SSC and its education programme had a purpose, and at that stage, when we looked at who was going to drive the car, I was initially trying to find a way of choosing a driver, and realised that the previous driver, the current record holder, would be the best qualified, whatever kind of test you did, and of course that was me. So I had a chat with the team, and here I am.
Well, of course, we had our first meeting with Ron Ayres, and Ron was absolutely appalled. And he said, "How fast do you want to go, Richard?" And I said, 1.5 times the speed of sound. And he said, no way was he going to be a part of this. So a bit of horse trading went on, and we ended up with Mach 1.4 thousand miles an hour. A huge, massive project. Massive because basically what you're doing is creating the equivalent of a jet fighter. It will out-accelerate any jet fighter. It goes 200 miles an hour faster than Eurofighter at the same level, where at 3,000 feet the air is pretty thick. So, you're really pushing the boundaries of what's possible on just about every single front. We've been joined by the Norwegians who are doing the rocket motor. The jet engine, of course, has come from the Ministry of Defence. And there's a very good chance we're going to be rolling out that car in about July next year.